For a minute, I thought we would not be on air as Google's having some issues today, but we are live. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Today is October 9th, and you're hanging out with my community manager. We are the community that is built for, by, and managed by community managers. We have a simultaneous Twitter chat, as always. You can hang out with us over on Twitter at the hashtag CMGR Hangout, where I know a bunch of you are watching right now. So thanks again for spending a Friday with us. So if you love what you're seeing here today, and maybe you have a great idea for a topic, or you want to join us live someday, please head over to our website at www.mycmgr.com, where you can click on this little button that says Participate and fill out a form. Sherry and Dom and I, we get that information. We'll contact you. It's really your ideas, and your topics that really form our show every Friday. So, okay, what do we have for you this week? Today and this week we're going to be talking about embracing community growth. So we've talked about this topic throughout a bunch of other CMGR Hangouts. We've talked about growing communities from scratch. We've talked about community growing pains, scaling an entire network of communities, onboarding new members, and even welcoming new members to an active community. But together we're going to explore what it looks like as we put all of these together, right, and focus on taking early adopters, existing and new community members, and really helping them all together embrace the growth of the new community. Really excited for the panel we have here today. I'm going to shut up now and let everybody introduce themselves, starting with Sherry. Hey, Sherry.
Hey everybody, my name is Sherry. I'm the community manager at Magento and co-produce CMGR Hangout here with Dom and Brew.
I almost pulled a Sherry and didn't unmute myself right away. Hey everybody, I am Dom. I am a community manager for Be the Change Revolutions, co-host here with Sherry and Brew, and I am actually really excited for this topic specifically to be discussing it in this community because this community did such a good job like a year and a half ago of bringing me into it. So I'm stoked to hear about how everybody else does that.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm our community manager at blab.im, and this is my first Hangout.
Well, welcome to the Hangout, Brittany. I'm Brock. If you guys don't know me, then you haven't watched any of these. But I'm Brock DC. I'm all over the place, and I'm actually the newly minted community manager for Meshfire, along with all of my other projects. So I'm stoked to be on this panel.
Awesome. That was a sweet intro. You're like, and in case you don't know me, I'm kind of a big deal on this platform, in this community. No, she is. She's great. So, hey everybody, I'm Brew, the director of Awesome with BTC Revolutions, as well as co-producer here at my CMGR Hangout. Love to just jump right in to our first question, which is, how do you help new community members feel welcome? And I would love to, in your respective communities, how do you welcome people? Brittany, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so ours is a bit interesting because a lot of our new members will start by jumping on video. So the easiest way we can welcome them is to surprise jump on with them. And we'll say hello. We give them kind of a quick overview and tour of the platform and how to use things. We don't send any welcome emails or anything automated. We're very much responsive on Twitter. It's kind of how we do it.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, I think it's a cool, it's a unique opportunity you have, because literally you're bringing, kind of bringing your virtual self to the, hey, how are you? That's really cool.
I think it really just starts with that, hey, welcome, just saying it in, whatever way you do. There's a lot of different ways you can, but I mean, Brock just gave a great example. Brittany was like, hey, this is my first time on this Hangout. Brock was like, hey, welcome. It's like even something that simple does go a long way. And I think even more than that, if there is the lack of that, people tend to notice it as well. So that little intro is really important.
Yeah, I can't turn the community manager off. Amber will tell you anytime we hang out. It's like I can't turn it off. It's and I think we're all touching on the same point of welcoming people. What we do in the Google Small Business community is making sure everybody who's new gets a welcome comment on their post. And also, if they ask a question or if they refer to something or if their business is something unique, we'll either pull from any of our existing resources or introduce them to another member of the community that might be either in the same industry or doing the same things or something similar. And then with Meshfire, we just welcome people both as like in email and Twitter. We're obviously very active on Twitter, and then we also have a private group where we grow the community as well. So the welcoming thing, I think, is the main key factor in across the board for us.
Yeah, everyone remembers their first bad experience, or if they come onto a platform and they feel very isolated or alone. They never forget that moment, even if they learn to love your product. It's just, it sticks with them. The negative ones stick longer.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Brittany. And on that note, you can welcome people even before they find whatever like your official platform is, depending on your community. So, for example, I work with an open source e-commerce community. I've searched through hashtags on Twitter and Instagram and whatnot and found people deploying sites or working on their first Magento site and just asked them how it's going. And a lot of times they didn't even know where to look for us at that point, but it was a good way to kind of like welcome them in and let them know like, hey, we do have a very active community if you are stuck, and this is where you can find them, and that actually tends to go a long way and is actually a lot easier to keep up with than welcoming every single person that joins our forums, which is a very rapid rate compared to that. So
definitely.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Brew.
I was just going to say, I like this idea of this, kind of taking welcome a little step further is also the welcome wagon in a way, right? And I know that I always appreciate communities where it seems like multiple people are making me feel welcome. I've been a part of forums where, maybe once a week they say, hey, welcome to the new community members. It's like one post where you're mentioned. And so at least you kind of get that little bit of like, wow, the mods are recognizing that I'm here, and and then people are like, hey, what's up? Kind of the common people in the group. And the other welcome wagon experience I love to talk about is many years ago. I stumbled across a community called Us Guys while on Twitter. We were actually traveling from Wisconsin to Arizona in a car, super bored, just like hanging out on Twitter on my phone the entire time. Meet these guys called the Us Guys, and after talking to them for several days and getting to know them, they then literally had a tweet like, "Ding ding, ring the tribal bell. Please welcome at House of Brew to #UsGuys," and it's just kind of interesting because then everyone jumped on and said hi to me and welcomed me, really jumped on this welcome wagon, and I've never felt so like welcome or so like that I belong somewhere when it was almost like a little ceremony that happened, a virtual ceremony plus then everyone kind of saying hi. And so I think for me that's probably the time I've felt the most welcome in a community.
Yeah, another example of that, we do that in the Google Small Business community, but I think David in CMX Hub does an amazing job of that every Monday, where he'll just like welcome people who've joined the group and just tag him in a post and be like, hey, everybody, welcome, and like maybe we'll do, usually depending on the size of the group that he has for Mondays, like he'll do like a little snippet of the people and what they are, and I think that's huge because like Sherry mentioned, a lot of our communities grow really fast. So even as we're welcoming people, not everyone's on at the same time. So having that post of recognizing new members in a separate way other than welcoming them individually is huge, and it really brings together that community feel for everybody.
One thing that I love, and I know this is sort of spinning itself into question number 2 when we're talking about like ways other people can, but like one thing, and I'll give a shout out to Brittany and the team at Blab, like whenever anybody puts that it's their first Blab, and that's something that they tag it in, like they're stepping out there and doing it, not only is it awesome, like you or the team jumps on, but the love in that community for people that are doing that and welcoming, that it's just like, hey, awesome, so glad that you did it. This is really, really cool. Like, I did one where I was literally just sort of riffing on nothing. I had no idea who was going to jump in, and there was a bunch of people that just wanted to jump in and say welcome, and that's a good sign there when you have the community jumping in and doing that for you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of the early adopters and people who really believe in a platform will come on and welcome new users for you, which I feel means a lot more, because if someone who isn't being paid to do it feels so much like, we need to welcome these new people, we need to make everyone feel welcome, it speaks volumes. But then you get a little bit of everyone remembers like being welcomed to the platform and how wonderful it was when they were welcomed, but after a while you start to feel a little resentment for your attention goes to new people, and you're always kind of onboarding and welcoming new people, and I always struggle like balancing that. Like, how do you balance like not showing favoritism but saying, hey, we still respect you for being here a long time, we love that, but there's also new people who don't know how to do anything, so we also want to kind of warm them up to the platform.
Yeah, I think it's probably just you either have to scale it by having more people, right? Like hey, here now we literally have a welcome new user person, or you leverage a little bit of the community, or something that I've seen and is that you just have to sort of shorten up the welcome. That makes sense, right? It's like you just can't spend as much time as you used to. And has to be a little more, hey, hello, how you doing? Welcome. Just want to quickly say something, and then you got to move on. But yeah, I mean it's absolutely a challenge when as communities are growing quickly. Where do you put those priorities? Well, I'm going to jump into our second question real quickly here, since Dom touched on it a little bit. I think we're blending into a lot of these questions, which is,
Tom freeze?
Did Brew freeze? Is that, oh.
Yeah, I think they froze.
Yikes.
We're still here though. Does that mean it's our fault?
It's usually me that freezes, so
Oh, but I can see you.
That's good.
So
technical difficulties, guys. Hold on. Let me see on Twitter.
hey, Brock, I see you moving.
Oh.
Hello?
Is everyone coming back?
Yeah.
Yay.
The internet just took a pause for a minute. It was like somebody pressed the pause button. I saw Dom jumping in and out.
Weird. And Brittany and I were here.
Yeah, we were the only ones who were like, Oh,
that's great. So it's almost like a net split from back in the IRC days, right? Like half you guys are on one part of the video chat, and probably it's just a blank screen going back. Oh yeah, he said. So David said, "Whoa, all of the hosts dropped."
Yeah.
So,
okay. So it wasn't just us.
So I'm wondering if they heard me just drop the F-bomb on what was going on. So we'll see.
I think because Sherry, I know that Dom dropped before you did, and then you dropped, and then Sherry did, and Brittany and I are sitting here going, shit. Oops.
Now what?
my reaction is to touch nothing. I just it'll sort itself out.
I think well, I was checking Twitter to see if anybody else, like if it was just us, but okay. Anyway, we're back. Welcome back.
I think, and we're back. The non-hosts are on. Oh, that's funny. All right, so
I literally have no idea who people are seeing and who they're not.
Guys,
if only there was some sort of another platform to host where people were talking with each other. Jeez.
If only. Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. We'll just edit that in post. No big deal.
Awesome.
All right. So getting back on track. Yeah, we did break the internet, Jen.
Good job.
All right. So getting back, the question that I asked before everyone froze, I was like, it's not that hard of a question, guys. How can other community members help engage a new member? So you guys can hear me now, though, right? Good.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So we talked about a little bit, about hey, sometimes you have to get the new members involved, right? And I would love to hear if you guys have had any success, or what are your tactics as far as getting people, like getting existing community members engaged with new ones.
So I kind of touched on this when I was answering the first question, but we do, when we're welcoming people or when somebody asks a question, we'll tag existing community members we know might know the answer to this or have another resource, or be like, if, say, an Etsy shop joins that sells something very specific and we know there are 3 other members who do the same thing, we'll tag them and welcome them in that way. And then just we do spotlights, and then we also do, we just started doing Member Mondays, which highlights a couple of the best discussions and then welcomes new members from the previous week every Monday. So that's been a really, really good way. And we do have an active community, but because it grows rapidly, sometimes some posts get lost. So the moderators will actively tag people and bring them into the conversation in that way.
I think our existing members feel like it's up to them to help onboard if they want it to keep growing. So that's been a really great natural thing that happens. We try to make sure that we're always watching, because sometimes it's hard to trust a user to onboard a new user without knowing anything. So they might be communicating the wrong information or giving something that's not true anymore. So it is hard to moderate, watching the people that are helping your platform, but they could also be potentially misrepresenting it.
And I think you have an advantage a little bit, right? Because you have the, almost like the early adopters, who are there, wanting to jump in. And you also have a platform where people can talk about your platform, which I think is cool too, right? It's like
sometimes it's not.
But I think it's from there. What I've seen a lot of people jump in, start talking about Blab, and then people who've been on Blab also jump in and say, hey, here's how I've been using it. So it's from an outside view, it's really interesting watching the community, both new and old, interacting with each other. And you got it's almost like you have natural advocates already forming, and champions of your brand, your platform. Mm-hmm. So, which is pretty cool. Dom, were you unmuting to say something?
I was, and I was sort of going to say what you just said there, but I mean, as somebody a lot of my friends and the people that I talk to are people that I think were very early adopters of Blab, and just going on what you said, you guys did a really good job at the beginning of making sure to communicate what was going on to these early adopters, to really empower them with the information that they need. Now, obviously, you guys have gotten bigger. There might be things that are not true anymore, and that brings up a completely different set of issues. But the ability and the sort of empowerment top down, I think, is really important in communities all the time. If you want to get more engagement, you want to try to get that sort of stuff. If you do a good job of over communicating to certain groups of people, then at that point, they're going to take it, and they appreciate that. People are as excited, when they get on a Blab with oh yeah, Brittany was in a Blab, yeah, that was awesome. We were just talking about Blab stuff. It was really cool. Felt like I had, this sort of thing in. And so then they host one and they talk about other stuff. You could do that in any community. You get into a DM, or you start mentioning somebody, or you're responding to them very, very quickly on the forums, like you're just having a conversation. People are going to feel empowered with that. And with that, they want to not only help other people, because hopefully you're curating a community of people that are just helpful in general. But at the same time, people like feeling important, and if they know answers that nobody else do, then they're going to do it, you know. And I think that's kind of the crux of a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, I'm sure we all have things that notify us on Twitter when people mention things or tag things. Like, we're all loaded up with all these applications to be notified, and that's something that does tend to impress people. When they mention you and you respond within seconds, it's totally this magical moment where that can work in any platform at all. Like, just like using, I'm pro Twitter. I'm sure you guys love Twitter. Using a Twitter chat right now, so it makes sense.
Right on. Hey, I want to bring in a kind of a comment here from Katie. I think this is Katie's first time in the community, so welcome, Katie. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday. So Katie says, we set a culture of giving kudos to members when they post great content. It's carried over to member kudos giving. So that's pretty cool. So basically almost a lead, it's a lead by example and just really making that part of the culture. So I thought that was a great comment, had to bring it in.
It is great. It's like Reddit karma, just giving it to users to welcome them.
Also, shout out to Katie because she's a fellow ATXer and she is she's an absolutely wonderful person. So yeah, certainly welcome to the community.
All right, well, I'll move us into the next. I was just looking, by the way, just trying to see if there was any other good answers that I threw out. So, by the way, everyone who's watching over on Twitter, hanging out with us, sorry that we broke the internet for a minute there. We are back. It's confirmed. And if you could, please, if you could please just send us your questions over Twitter. Make sure to tag my CMGR, and we'll make sure if we can bring them in and answer them for you. So please, we'd love to bring in as many tweets as we can. So number 3 is, how do you recognize veteran community members? So let's talk about veterans.
So this is the part where I enlighten everyone that we're laughing because I broke brew through the side chat, just in case everyone wondered where that was coming from. So my point really with this question, and maybe the next 3 questions are kind of jumbled up in order, but they all get back to Brittany's original question, which, by the way, for those who don't know, is what started the Hangout. So if you have questions, let us know, because it can turn into a full Hangout. But my thought is, like, with those early adopters, if you help them feel welcome and recognize themselves as well as veterans, and recognize them as role models to the community, you don't have as much of a competition going on between early adopters and newbies. So looking at, maybe it's something like implementing a super user program where you're recognizing those really active members, and maybe they have a special rank or a special badge or access to a roadmap if you're a product community, things like that, just to kind of give more context around the question.
One of the ways that we've done it is, one has been basically elevating members who are veterans into advisors. We don't do this a lot because our advisor program is a little bit more, takes a lot more to become an advisor, but that's one way we've done it. Another way is do spotlights, or bring in, if they answered a question or if they did a great job, maybe spotlight them, or on Twitter with Meshfire, we'll retweet them and recognize them in the community. So it's there are just different ways of doing it, and it really depends on your community's layout. So if the majority of your community is on a platform where it's easy to do, that's great. If it's on a platform like if that's growing excessively, sometimes it's a little harder to do that. So I think it just depends on whatever resources you have and what makes sense for your community, so that it also doesn't feel like it's out of the blue and it's kind of forced in a way. So just make sure it fits into the flow of the content and the communication that you're creating when you're recognizing those veterans.
Mm-hmm. I'm always worried that like recognizing the same people or people who everyone kind of knows already puts a negative taste in other people's mouths. Like if someone's trying to like get known and get seen, but they keep seeing the same things or people highlighted or recognized, it can be a little discouraging and make you almost not want to keep at the platform if the same veterans are being acknowledged. But then I don't know, it's finding that balance that's okay, like making sure to bring in new content and saying like, hey, here's something up and coming I think is, this user is going to be awesome, or just so it's not constantly the same people.
Yeah, I think with that, like, it's making it clear why you're recognizing them, so that anyone has a goal that they can aim for, so that they can be recognized as well. Every week I publish a community digest that is blog posts that our community has written around the web, and there are established people that I have their blogs in my RSS feeder that I check, but I also monitor the hashtags in case someone new or maybe even just new to blogging has published something that would be really good to share in the digest. And they know, because I made it very clear in the early ones, they know that for it to be shared, it just needs to be Magento-centric and not like salesy, and something that's good for the community. And it's been really cool actually to watch more and more people blog about the product in cool ways that they're using it as a result of that, because they want to make sure that they get in there.
I think there's a way to recognize the veteran in a little more one-to-one sense as well. That where if they're that type of person, they might share it out with the community and get more recognition. And specifically, I think about like anniversaries, right? Like hey, it's been 2 years, since our first time together, and I think that allows people to see those if people can peer in on those conversations without it being if you're in a spot where it doesn't necessarily need to be like the main message of the day, you're still giving them a, hey, we recognize you've been around for a while. That's what I think when I think veteran.
I think for forums too, or things like for instance, I'm a big imager guy. Like I love browsing around on that. And so having like those sort of like different levels based on what you've actually communicated.
Uh-oh, did it happen again?
Oh no, how is it that all three of them are freezing?
And then we're stuck.
Sorry guys. Apparently Google is also just having issues in general, but I'm not sure what the specific problems
Classic. I didn't say that. Oh my god.
I can't say anything.
Yeah.
All right, well, hopefully they'll come back soon. I don't even know what Tom was in the middle of saying when he froze.
Yeah. I've heard myths of this happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I've never
usually
experienced it.
And it's never like all three of them at the same time. So, sorry guys, you're stuck with us.
This is our show now.
We're taking over. What?
That's when it gets weird.
Oh my god. This is crazy.
I hope that's not cut from the record.
I know, right? The little dance.
Yeah, like
that was awesome.
This is great. This is high quality.
Jen, we're not going to sing. You don't want me to sing. Trust me.
Oh, I don't sing.
Yeah, Jen City Chen on Twitter just said we should sing something for them, and I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen.
Oh,
you can watch my penguin mug. Holy crap. Yeah, they just broke again.
It's all right, guys. We got this.
We got it. We'll take over. Hopefully they'll be joining us soon again. Thanks everybody for sticking with us on Twitter and keep the conversation going, watching the hashtag, and it's awesome. And yes, Dom did break the internet, Jen.
Oh my gosh. Oh, in one of the Twitter chats, so Carrie Keenan said handwritten notes are the best.
Uh-huh.
I had a weird moment where I wrote like a bunch of postcards and drew custom drawings for users.
Nice.
And I thought it was a good idea, but it just took so long. And then after that, I was like, I'll just make Vine videos for everyone. And I made like 200 Vine videos, like trapped in a room.
Well, I mean, you can't, like, that's a problem, right? Like, when you start something, you have to think about scaling it, and all of a sudden, you're just like, holy crap, I have to do this for everybody now, and I've set the standard.
Yeah, 50 people is way more.
Yeah.
So the moral of this hangout is use Lab.
It froze right then.
We did. What's the moral of the hangout, Sherry?
Yeah, what's the moral of the hangout?
Is it still frozen? It's not frozen for me.
No, you're good now, but it did halfway through.
My internet sucks. No, I couldn't even get to Twitter actually that time. That wasn't just Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
But I said go use Blab if you have less than 5 people. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Amber was telling me that that she's just seeing reports, like people tweeting, being like, WTF Google on her Twitter feed, but nothing specific, so I don't know what's going on. But apparently Hangouts is part of it, so.
There you go.
Yay.
Now, Brittany, here's the time you can go ahead and, like, if this is some sort of, like, an evil plot, like, by the way, I'm on this Google Hangout.
I wasn't a plant. No, I wasn't sent in. I'm not a spy. I'm not here to sabotage
But it is a
anything.
really, really, really funny coincidence.
Coincidence.
You know what I feel like?
It actually hasn't failed on us in like months.
Not at this scale, like all 3 of you just completely dropping out.
You know what? It must be the Google gods are like giving me a gift because like that hasn't happened in a long time.
Oh man.
So I missed the beginning of what you guys were talking about, but I noticed you were saying something about sending vines and scaling, like your original introductions. I actually, so Trish Fontanella, who used to work for VSnap, she would send welcome VSnaps to literally every new person on the platform. And people would ask her, like, how are you going to scale that? And she's like, it doesn't matter because right now it's the right thing to do. And in her case, it was using the prompt as well to intro them and welcome them. And so it was showing them how to use it at the same time. But I think, you have to think about scale for some things, but I think for welcoming, it's not as important. Like, do what works early on, and then you can recruit a welcoming committee from veterans or adapt what you're doing as your community grows. And it's just like businesses. In businesses, you're going to operate differently as a company in like an early stage startup company versus growth stage versus like mature stage. The same is true for communities. You're going to change how you operate as you grow.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it always comes up a lot where they'll say, wow, I really liked your welcome, but like, how are you going to do that for thousands of more people? And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you liked it. Like, that was the purpose. So you can do it to as many people as you can. Like, I set really high limits for like the people I sent Vine videos to welcome them. I was like, oh, I can do 200 Vine videos, no problem. And then when I sat down to do it, I was like, oh my God, like 200's a lot. That's going to take a long time. And then I have to send these back out. And you start thinking, okay, like maybe 50 is ambitious but reasonable. And yeah.
Yeah, no, but I like that. Like, you have to figure out what works for you, what works for your community, and you are working with a video community, so it makes sense to welcome them with video. Why not? Makes perfect sense.
I was using Vine at the time, though, so it's like weird.
That's funny. Yeah, well, but it's harder, I guess, unless you did like a live broadcast welcome. It'd be harder to use your platform for that, just because it's not